Welcome out to the range. Today is video one of a three-part series dealing with your 72-hour pack and the end of the government as we know it. Specifically, we're going to talk about the first 72 hours today. In the next few videos, the longer process. Before we get into the more scary stuff, why do dogs make poor dancers? Because they have two left feet. Ba-dump-a-dump. First, go watch our videos on this topic. Paul did a 2-hour top 5 list for Tiatuaki, or world without rule of law. Really, it's without rule of law. For some reason, I always want to do a WWROL or a shit hit the fan. You name the acronym, that's what we're talking about. We did, the whole crew put our packs out here on and showed them all off to you of what we carry in just the packs. Paul and I did a couple follow-up videos to that, a long version and a short version of what systems he recommends you put into your 72-hour pack and why, and some transition and so on. Today's video is strictly about the first 72 hours. And I'm going to add a few little things in there that I haven't seen in other videos. Specifically for me, I get hung up on, I've got 5 firearms, all the same caliber, which is almost impossible to do given the type of platforms we're going to talk about. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 long guns. In Paul's long version, he talks about trucking across the country. Well, I'm not going to do that. Most of us aren't going to do that with our family. And in our recent truck guns video, a lot of the comments said they only carry their EDC with them. So let's pretend for a minute you got your 72-hour pack that you put in the truck. You're not too worried about it being stolen. So you don't take it in and out. It's there. You go to and from wherever you're going with your EDC. You don't have a carbine with you. As we know, you may or may not be at home when the hurricane hits, the snowstorm hits, the earthquake hits, the wildfire hits, whatever. You cannot run back home to get those other 4 guns. You're stuck with what you have. Okay. Maybe the wildfire's coming, you got to grab what you can, your birth certificates, all your paperwork, your wife, your kids, your EDC. You may or may not have time to go grab the other 3 guns or 4 guns, load them in the truck or whatever you're driving with, and take them all to the evacuation center or wherever you're going. If you get in a motel, you're doing better than a few people. When you get to the evacuation center, probably not the best idea to walk around like this with an AR strapped to your back. If you leave it in your vehicle, then you have the potential, like a lot of you point out, of it getting stolen, which is why you don't carry a firearm in your vehicle all the time. A long gun specifically, sorry. So it's almost impossible to secure all those. To carry enough ammunition that you think you might need versus 2 magazines for your EDC or an extra spare magazine for a bigger gun becomes weight bearing, and again you cannot secure it all. These are all little things that people that get like me to get on here and say these are my top 5 guns never address or give ideas about, at least in the videos I've seen. So that's our different take and why this is going to be longer video. So what is going to be in your pack? Well, depends what you think is going to happen, whether it's grizzly bears, zombies, whatever. Okay, you may want to prepare yourself for those situations and the winter or so on. What we're talking about is what you're going to have with you or on you in the first 72 hours, provided, of course, you're not stuck at home or you can get to where your supplies are and all your stuff to make you secure. So this is what goes with your 72-hour pack. Now, you're probably not going to have something like this 4-pound hardcore hammers, a little bit shorter than the normal axe, or this hardcore hammers baby Pulaski. But I like to keep something like this in my vehicle and even strapped to my pack, because a good cutting instrument cannot be overlooked in the Northwest when trees may be down, blocking roads, you name it, right? Now, this K-bar, large K-bar, is a little overkill. So could my K-bar BK9 be a little bit overkill. This is a Wild Turkey brand. Of course, that's overkill. This, to me, is the original size K-bar, and it did look like, I just have to brag a little bit, this is a small, but they were the same color 40 years ago, so it's been around a bit and used a lot. If anybody out there is from K-bar, give me a call. And then on one of my duty belts, I have the small K-bar, also stamped USMC. I have another hardcore hammers. Their camp hatchet makes a good hammer on the backside for zombies or anything else. A K-bar, kind of tomahawk. It's very thin, not an axe. Paul's weapon of choice was a tomahawk. He loved these. He could throw them really well. He did not ever recommend throwing them. He did recommend a tomahawk, though. It's just with his mountain man stuff he used to do. He loved those. Just another tool that works really well as a weapon also is my double bit hatchet from Council Tool, and a Swedish-made, hand-forged hatchet. All of which would do very, very well for multiple things, from clearing brush, clearing roads, to attacking zombies or anything else. 4-legged, 2-legged, doesn't matter. I have a wide selection of an EK and other K-bar, genuine double-edged fighting type knife, and an old-timer small hatchet with a knife hunting setup. So you don't have to have combat type stuff. Obviously, this hatchet, if you wanted to use it as a weapon on 2- or 4-legged predators, would work super, super well. This would work super, super well. Hardcore hammers send stuff that's razor sharp. They even send a Band-Aid with it just because. My thoughts are that at the refugee center, at the gymnasium, at wherever you're taken or evacuated to for safety, etc., a lot of people are going to be scared. Now, depending upon what part of the world you're in, what part of the country you're in, wearing a rig like this, everybody might be doing that. I can tell you there's a lot of places that there are not anybody would be doing that. So in those circumstances, just to make yourself feel better, and so you know you're armed and you can take care of things and fight to your bigger guns or firearms, let's start with the smallest pocket pistol I have, 22 Magnum, North American Arms, 5-shot, single action revolver, pocket pistol. 25 auto, Beretta 21A, 8-shot. Just did a video on this the other day. Very nice handgun, functions really well. 22 long rifle, pocket pistol. It's the Ruger LCP2. Has a safety, is very nice. Slip in your pocket, just like this. Nobody's paying attention, nobody knows, but you have something. Heck, if you have the money and can do so, get a couple of them. Maybe get a third one, stick it back here, okay? Now, the one advantage to being a fat guy is I wear looser clothing. You can't see the firearms as nice as you can in those, everybody that wants to wear yoga pants all the time. I do yoga. That's no insult against yoga, just saying. Now, this is a 32 auto. It is bigger than the 25 auto, but it's still a pocket pistol. On the top end of the pocket pistols, you have Ruger's LCR in 9mm Luger, comes with 5 moon, or with the moon clips, sorry, to shoot the 9mm, 5-shot, so you don't gain anything over it. Smith & Wesson makes one very similar. It is, so you guys know, empty. Double action only. You don't have any selection. It's just a revolver that nobody's going to hang up. You can shoot it from your clothing. Very, very, very nice option. I prefer the Smith & Wesson myself in 38 Special with a shrouded hammer, so you have an option of single action if you wanted it. This one is the Airweight, so it is aluminum frame, super lightweight. Again, goes in your pocket, doesn't snag. Paul has a video on that, shooting one like this out of a pocket. When you get to the place and you have one of these in your pocket, you feel more secure. You can protect yours and your own. Okay. When you're out and about, maybe not walking around the crowd, or you're going on the road back to your house now that they've let you back in these areas. And we're talking in this case natural disasters or fires, things like that. Okay. Then you can have your full-size firearms. Now in Paul's top 5, and almost everybody's top 5, they recommend a standard capacity, 15 rounds or more, 9mm. This isn't 9mm, but it is it's 9mm. It's a compact carry, okay, with a 15-round magazine. They recommend something like that, your Glock 19s. And when I say name brands, it's just name brands I know. You can take them as a recommendation or not. I've used Glocks. I've used other brands. I don't use anything that I think is crap and doesn't work. Whole point about all this, it has to work, and you have to be able to hit with it. Now, for all those that think nobody can hit anything with one like this, I will tell you, the other day I watched somebody from 35 yards offhand keep on that small steel back there, all 8 rounds with that firearm. 40 yards, that firearm, 25 auto. It can be done with enough practice, and the bullet's not just going to bounce off somebody. Okay? And again, as Paul demonstrated in one of his videos, it's better than a sharp stick. A lot of people don't like revolvers anymore, but if a revolver is what you have, and a revolver is what you can shoot well, then that is probably the gun you need to have in your 72-hour pack or somewhere that you can get to easily in this type of emergency. I've got mine set up on various cartridge belts here, or gun belts. This one's on a more modern gun belt. This is not a 9mm, it's a Glock 22 and 40 Smith & Wesson with a 1,000 lumen light on it and night sights on top. Across the front of the table in no particular order, we have a 10-shot 22 4-inch barrel Smith & Wesson. We have our Gerson 15-round magazine, 10mm, 6-shot Model 17 22 long rifle Smith & Wesson, and a very ancient, it's even got a pinned barrel for those that know what that means, 38 Special Model 15. It's just like the one Paul had. This one my father carried as a duty weapon for many years. So it's special to me. It works just like it did the day it was new, probably better than the day it was new. And on the extreme side, we have a 44 Magnum Smith & Wesson Model 29 with a 6-inch barrel. All of these will do the job that they need to do. They will make you feel better. I would recommend that if you have the ability to, you carry, this is my EDC or one of, but I like to carry this in a pocket with it every once in a while as a backup to that firearm. Remember, securing your equipment when you're at these evacuation places is going to be a major issue. Maybe you'll have to abandon your truck, or not abandon it, but park it several miles from where you need to walk into your house. And you don't want things you can't replace left in that vehicle. And I say truck because that's just what I happen to drive, but your vehicle. Next video, we're going to talk about the transition period, as Paul calls it, between that first bug out and what happens and the end of no help's ever coming. What did we learn from today? We learned that most likely you're not going to have a carbine with you when bad things happen and you're away from home. If you're at home, totally different situation and world, totally different concerns. We haven't even talked about that. We're talking about companions to your 72-hour pack and either fighting to get home or grabbing your crap and going to an evacuation shelter someplace else before that transition of without rule of law or Tiatuaki fully kicks in. So before the government completely goes away, and we're hoping they will come to help us. I was going to say save, but we don't hope that. We're going to save ourselves. They're going to come help get trees out of the road, bigger stuff. Okay, with that, here are my top 2 handguns and top 2 tools in the everyday carry category, and that is my Springfield Hellcat 9x19 with a compensator, with really nice iron fixed sights, with a red dot on top, backed up by 2 15-round magazines, two 13-rounders in the original flush fit 11-round magazine. My pocket pistol of choice is the 25 Auto Beretta 21A. It's got 1 8-round magazine in it, backed up by 3, so for a total of 24 rounds, which is pretty good in your pockets. And then the next size up, not really concealable, not definitely an EDC, but something definitely worth fighting in the dark and so on, is my Glock 40 6-inch barrel, 10 millimeter compensator, red dot, suppressor height, night sights, all taken over and covered by a 1,000 lumen flashlight. Yes. And right here in front of me, I have 4 more magazines. I got 1 in the gun, 1 up here, all 15-round magazines. That should do okay. I have a few more at home that I haven't even taken out of the package. My knife of choice will not be a surprise to anybody that's watched me for very long, and that is my USMC K-Bar original type reproduction, because the top up here, this part, came from the factory sharpened like the originals. The only difference between this one and the true originals, it has a pin through the pommel. So sharp, you gotta be careful not to cut the sheath. And it holds an edge. My goodness, this is a knife. And then my tool of choice will be this hardcore hammer camp companion hatchet, if you want to call it that, or baby axe. It's a little bit smaller than a boy's axe. Anyway, great hammer on the backside for hitting all kinds of things, and a very, very sharp face cutting surface. With that, okay, always practice, know your equipment so you can handle it in the dark, find it, you name it. Know you can hit with it, because this is the stuff you're going to trust in the emergency, so you're always the best prepared for the worst case situations.